Hey everybody, hope you guys are healthy and safe. So the footage you're watching right now is shot with the main camera of the POCO M4 Pro. So I don't know the official pricing of this phone yet, but it should be in the affordable budget range, probably under $250 because this is a follow-up to the POCO M3 Pro, which started at like $200 last year. So you do get some upgrades with the M4 Pro. Obviously, the chipset is now a 6nm chip from MediaTek. It is a Dimensity A10 and it supports 5G. The screen is a 6.6-inch 1080p panel, 90Hz refresh rate, and it actually gets bright enough to use outdoors under sunny Los Angeles. And the main camera is a 50-megapixel sensor that shoots pixel bin 12.5 megapixel images. And video quality, as you can see right now, it is what it is. And whatever you're hearing is coming from the mic of the phone too. Okay, and now you're watching ultra-wide footage from the POCO M4 Pro. This is an 8-megapixel ultra-wide-angle camera. The POCO M4 Pro, despite the camera module looking a little bit busy, it's actually only a dual camera system. And POCO only is advertising a dual camera system, which is good. They're not trying to add all these unnecessary sensors on there, like a 2-megapixel macro, just to be able to say they have a triple lens or quad camera system. Instead, they're advertising the two real useful cameras, the main and the ultra wide. That's it, dual camera system. And around the front, you have a 16-megapixel selfie camera with an f2.4 aperture. The footage you're watching right now is shot with this front-facing f2.4 lens. Okay, so let's go over the rest of the hardware of the POCO M4 Pro. So as I mentioned, 6.6-inch FHD display, 450 nits of max brightness, so you can still see it under the sun. The refresh rate, 90Hz maximum, but it can actually drop down to 50 or 60. Now the front glass panel is covered by Gorilla Glass 3, while the back is also glass and there is no Gorilla Glass certification, so it's just normal glass. So the back glass has this kind of unique material that reminds me of the Vivo X70 Pro Plus's material. It's not matte, but it does not attract fingerprints. But it's also not glossy. It's like this kind of brushed finish that supposedly feels a little bit like metal, but maybe it's my fingers a little bit oily, but when I rub my finger through it, I don't like the feel as much as I like just a matte or even glossy glass back feel. I said the same thing about the Vivo X70 Pro Plus. I'm just being real. I am not a fan of this kind of brushed vibe. As for this back camera module, it has this really large module, that striking look that POCO first used with last year's M3. And like I said, even though there's like a lot of lens cutouts here, there's only 2 cameras here and POCO only advertises 2 cameras. Instead, these other cutouts are kind of covered by decoration. It says AI right here, there's a red dot up here, but these, as far as I know, don't do anything at all. The phone weighs 195 grams and measures 8.7 millimeters in thickness, so it's not like the most lightweight phone, but it's not a heavy, bulky phone either. It fits in the hand pretty comfortably. So this phone runs Android 11 with Xiaomi's MIUI 12.5.1 on top. For the most part, it behaves just like MIUI on other phones, which is a good thing because I really like MIUI's whimsical animations, like when you delete an app, it explodes. You have plenty of shortcut gestures like swipe down with 3 fingers to grab a quick screenshot. However, there are several features that I really like in other Xiaomi MIUI phones that are missing here. For example, in most Xiaomi phones now, you can open apps in a floating window and it's resizable, you can move the window anywhere. You do not have that here. If you want to multitask, you have to run apps in split screen mode, which is not as flexible as having a floating app. Also, when you jump into camera apps, some of the more popular features are missing. For example, clone photo or video, which I really like. It's the ability to quickly, couple of taps, you can grab a photo or video with 2 instances of the same people. It's very fun to play with, and that's been available on like almost every Xiaomi or Redmi phone I've tested, but it's not in here, it's missing. You also don't have a one-hand mode on this phone, which is not a big deal for me because, like I said, this phone is easy to hold with one hand for me, but some people may have smaller hands and one-hand mode would come in handy. But otherwise, for the most part, the software behaves fine. It doesn't get into the way of Android, and the 90Hz refresh rate is smooth enough. Now, this MediaTek chipset is fine for everyday tasks, like whether it's going on Instagram, snapping a quick picture of friends, you're not going to have any issues with this. If you do play graphically intensive games though, you will find that the frame rate do stutter from time to time, and for games that you get to pick the graphic option, you won't be able to pick the maximum graphic option. But again, 250 bucks, I think this will serve the needs of those people who don't want to pay more than $250 for a phone. Like, you have to take into account, phones nowadays cost $1,000, $800, $700. So when you're paying something that's like under 300 bucks, you have to lower your expectations accordingly. Now let's look at the camera system a bit more. I think you can see from the videos that video stabilization is okay, but obviously it struggles with dynamic range, especially when you're in a place with a lot of shade and sudden lighting like right now. Okay, if you've seen the movie Rush Hour, the first one, you'll remember that Jackie Chan goes into this Chinese restaurant where he fights a bunch of triads. That's this restaurant right here, Fu Chao restaurant. In fact, they're really proud of the fact that Jackie Chan filmed here, and it's like advertised on the wall on the other side. As for still photos, if you're shooting under good lighting condition, that's during the day and also with light behind you, like not against backlight, photos actually turn out quite pleasing, especially when you're shooting at a lively situation like in Chinatown. But however, if you're shooting against backlight, like with light pointing at the camera, or you're shooting in dim light conditions, the main camera suffers a little bit. This problem is compounded even more in the ultra wide angle camera, the 8 megapixel shooter. During the day, it's fine, but then at night, photos really look soft and noisy. But at this price point, I think the POCO M4 Pro hits all the major pillars. It has a good screen, slim bezels, so relatively immersive video watching experience. It has stereo speakers too. Now the bass is a little bit weak, but you are getting sound output on both sides. Large battery that will last you all day without any issues. The processor is good enough for social media and basic productivity tasks, like you're sending emails on this. It's not gonna have a problem. And you also get a bunch of extra stuff that you don't get anymore even when you buy a new iPhone or a new Samsung Galaxy. You have a headphone jack, you have a screen protector that's pre-applied, you have a case that comes with the package, and you also have a 33-watt fast charging brick. So if you're someone on a budget, it's hard to do better than the POCO M4 Pro because you're paying 250 bucks. You're getting an entire thing that just works and has all the stuff that you need. So anyway, that's about it for this review of the POCO M4 Pro. I have a lot more content coming up. If you're interested in keeping up to date with all the latest gadgets, please consider subscribing to my channel or follow me on Instagram at Ben's Gadget Reviews. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.